I was gonna make a skit about this album, but honestly, I feel like it would be a bit unnecessary. All I want to do is just talk about this album and just not waste any time. So Drake, of course, needs no introduction. He's basically like the biggest artist in the world. He does deserve respect, and he has made good albums. But I do feel like over the last couple of years, his music is starting to get a bit stale, with albums like Scorpion, which was very bloated, and Certified Lover Boy, which was just kind of just okay at best. It seemed like it was just him just going through the motions because he know all of it's going to be successful, and of course they were successful. But this album was very interesting because it is his by far his most unique album, called Honestly Nevermind, which is not even a rap album. It's just a full-on dance house album. I respect the decision to do something completely different. I respect him for doing it. But oh my fucking god, this album is not it. I'm sorry, like this album is just flat out just bad. It's by far his worst album, and that's the problem. This album could have been good. Instead of doing a unique album for yourself by getting all the resources and actually taking your time to make something great out of it, what Drake does, he takes house music at its most minimum, its most basic, and its most bland form and regurgitates it to 14 tracks, or 13 because one of them is just a rap song at the very end, but we'll talk about that later. This album literally sounds like it was made in a week because it sounds so rushed and uninspired, and it's crazy how Drake stands all of a sudden are defending this album, saying like, oh, you just don't get it, man, y'all just need to go outside, oh, you just don't like it because it's dance music. If you're defending this album saying that, oh, what's wrong with it, it's just a house album, that is such a massive insult to house music. You're basically implying that this is the best music that house has to offer. And in my opinion, that's extremely disrespectful. You want to know what's a great house album? Discovery by Daft Punk. Now, I know people are going to say, Robinero, that's a stupid comparison. These albums don't sound anything alike each other. And that's true. These albums sound completely different from each other, but Discovery fits in the realm of house music. It's literally what defines the album. It's defined as house music. When you're at the level of fame and status as Drake, the possibilities for you are endless. You can hire and get almost anybody on this record. You can get so many people to help you out. And the fact that this is what the end product is, it just shows you that you just didn't fucking try. That's why I can hardly take this album seriously, because Drake himself doesn't even sound like he's taking this shit seriously. Like, I would understand if people were defending this album because some of the production choices and the lyrics maybe would flow over people's heads or would fly over people's heads, but it's just so lazy and soulless. Like Drake's vocals sound terrible on some of these songs. His vocals are not catchy, they're not memorable, they're so monotone, they're so dry, it just sounds like he's bullshitting his way through an instrumental. And that's crazy because, the lyrics are just whatever, but usually for a dance album, you don't really pay attention to lyrics all the time. But the problem is a lot of the instrumentals and the production aren't even that great. Some of the production is decent. Some of them are fine. Some of them could be good if you gave them to different artists. But some of the other beats are just so fucking sleep-inducing and just has nothing to it that it's just so sleep-inducing. I gave this 2 listens. I gave it another chance. And oh my fucking god, like, by the time the second half of the album started, it was draining the fucking life out of me. I had to go out and take a walk while listening to have sort of any type of energy listening to this. Especially on songs like Currents, like with that annoying ass bed squeaking that just fucks up the song, which is, that's kind of not really saying much because the song is not even good in the first place. Calling My Name, which is such a weird song. Like, the first minute is just him monotonely singing about random bullshit, and then it just transitions to a boring ass beat And that's crazy because the part where it goes, your pussy is calling my name. As stupid as that is unironically one of my favorite parts of the album. Liability is just a slow and reverb Drake song of a song that was already boring in the first place. Just make it even slower. A lot of these songs are just so forgettable and they just don't stand out to me. A lot of these songs just blend into each other. Sticky is decent, and Jimmy Cooks with 21 Savage is decent as well. But the thing is, though, if you put these against other Drake albums, if Jimmy Cooks, while it's definitely the best song in the album, if it was on, like, If You're Reading This Is Too Late or Nothing Was the Same, it would be one of the worst songs on the album. And I feel nothing. Like, I feel no emotion listening to this album. This album doesn't make me want to dance. I just sit here, just basically want to fall asleep. While, yes, Jimmy Cooks is definitely the best song in the album, it's decent, it does not belong in this album whatsoever. Like, you could have put this on Certified Lover Boy or Scorpion, and it would have been fine, but on this album, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why put this at the end of the album? It just shows you're not even 100% committed to the sound that you're trying to do on the album. It doesn't matter what type of album, what quality it is. People are going to eat it up, and it's still going to sell well no matter what. And that's the thing. Like, he doesn't need to try at this point. But the thing that's disappointing is that if he was to try and took time with it and explore the genre and explore on what the genre has to offer, this album could actually be pretty good. Like, if you give this album to The Weeknd or Sampha or Georgia Smith, this album could be fire. And it also doesn't help the fact that not only are these songs just so fucking, like, lifeless and just have no soul in any of them, a lot of these songs just be long as shit for no reason. I swear to God, like, half of the songs are like 5 minutes. I remember, like, towards the end of the album, I was like, okay, I got through a lot of the long songs, but I'm nearing the end. And then Tie That Binds was 5.5 minutes. I was like, there's some okay moments in the album that are somewhat interesting, like the energetic pianos on Massive and the sort of flamingo type guitar solo on Tie That Binds. That's not even that good, but it's at least more interesting than what it was there in the album before. But what you have to get through to get to these moments is brutal. Like, it just appeals to the lowest common denominator. Again, I do think he's a good artist, and I respect him for doing something different, but man, this was not it. This was his worst album by far, and I do not like it much at all. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Give your opinions on the album, and please like and subscribe. And yeah, Robinero out. Peace. This is the end of the video. If you don't subscribe, then you is a hoe. I said this is the end of the video. If you don't subscribe, then you is a hoe.